Hey VC, here I am. So, obviously overdue to make a video. And the energy and mind state of mind, are finally on par, so to speak. So, still recovering, still doing all that. It's a whirlwind, life is an obstacle right now, but I'm staying positive and rolling the punches. So that's that. I've received some things in the mail today, or recently and today. Very generous. But I need to get some videos out of the way before I can get to these other things, right? So I've received some VCLT and some gifts, and I'll process that and try to put my words together properly in the future in a separate video. But today's rundown, and speaking of rundown, you know, if you guys want to get down with the get down, I'm probably going to be long-winded. I haven't hung out in a while, so I'm probably going to blabber about, maybe record-related, maybe I'll go on a tangent. So be it. If you guys want to kick it, then cool. Be a friend. Leave a comment. By no means is anyone ever obligated to watch my entire video. So if you guys want to just plow forward through and skip 30 seconds at a time, no hard feelings. Don't worry about liking. Don't worry about commenting. Well, actually, I'd appreciate comment. Let's talk. We're friends. But don't worry about thumbs up and all that jazz. If you want to do the YouTube stuff, so be it. I'm just here to, once again, rub elbows with the VC. So cheers to you, VC. I hope you're doing well. What's the rundown of this video? What is the rundown? Eric, focus. Some time ago, Jon and Dave came down from North Carolina. You know, I'm down here in South Carolina, South Kakalaki. And Jon, the digital gramophone, and Dave, formerly of local bandography, now the VC ambassador. I think he has to move to DC. He lives the United Nations now. I can't recall. It's been some time. But they visited, and fortunately for me, because money is tight as of late. You tend to go broke when you nearly die. I got my tax return back. And like a smart boy, I squirred away most of it for a rainy day, for bills and emergencies, etc. But as I haven't been buying many records, I said, hey, my, me amigos are coming down from North Carolina. I'm going to set aside some money for a Greenville Record Store Crawl, so to speak. You know, like a beer crawl, but with vinyl records, because we're nerds, you know? You get, when you're young and stupid, you're just like, how many shots of tequila can we do it? How many bars? You're gray, you know, the grays come in your beard, you get old, you know, it either turns white or turns loose, and you're just like, how many records can we buy in one day, and from how many stores? So that's what we did. So I guess this video would probably be like the Greenville Record Store Crawl Haul, you know, with my boys Jon and Dave from up in North Carolina. So, speaking of Carolina connections, let me go ahead and get the What's the Spin in the background. So, Herbs of Dove, right here. Ja Lloyd. I'm not going to talk about this too much because, let me see, it's new camera angle. I don't know where to go. I'm a rookie all over again. Brand new. It's brand new. I'm fucking nubile at this. Virginal, it feels like, making BC videos. It's been so long. Not going to speak on this too much. It's on the team label. But this is a gift from South Carolina's own, Aaron, the Metal Theologian. So he's a damn good guy. He gave me this a while back, and the reason I'm promoting this, if you guys don't know Aaron, you know, some people could dismiss him because he's one of the metal guys, you know, and some people are like, I don't like metal, and it scares me, and I don't blah, 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 blah. And so, they refrain from, watching a VC channel from one of the most intelligent, well-spoken, knowledgeable individuals on all genres of music, even though he enjoys, showcasing a more isolated focus of heavy metal, but his jazz is knowledge is astonishing, and apparently he's told me, we've been texting that he's making a reggae dub video. So I figured, hey man, if I give him a shout out, throw him under the bus, then I'm gonna see him make some variety via video. So link below for Aaron and his soon-to-be reggae dub video. But that's that, and then also to keep it Aaron while we move along. So with my first show, let me set up the premise here with my blabberings. So we hit up 3 stores. We started off at Pharmacy Records, and then we ended up grabbing a bite to eat. There's a restaurant connected to Horizon Records called Bohemian, so it makes it super convenient. And then we finish off at Cabin Floor Records. But one thing I found fascinating was that between Jon, Dave, and all of us, right? We all gathered cassettes, one location or another. We all bought cassettes that day. And so here's the thing to tie it back to Aaron the Metal Theologian. Blue Oyster Cult. It's one of those things. I grew up in the Carolinas, right? And predominantly, northern born, southern raised. I lived in Illinois and Wisconsin as a little kid. And, I've been in the Carolinas ever since, right? Going on freaking 30 plus years. So, Southern rock radio, classic rock radio, Blue Oyster Cult was 1 or 2 songs at best. And they weren't heavy in rotation, and I didn't have a lot of peers and friends with older brothers or dads, and nobody really repped Blue Oyster Cult. So I didn't have a negative opinion of it. I just didn't have a strong opinion of it. But between Cosmic Brian, always pushing, the good word of Blue Oyster Cult, and then my friend Aaron, who's had one of the longest kicks, binges of any single artist or band for some time, so I'm this big Blue Oyster Cult kick. And so I was like, man, let me get after some of this. So I'm flipping and digging, and I haven't found any of it. And then, what do you know? I find a gang of cassettes. So I bought On Your Feet or On Your Knees, Bow Out. That's what the cassette I think I actually got on the day Jon and Dave visited. But I'm going to go and get this so I don't have to continuously show cassettes from the same band in multiple videos. So let me just fucking pile this all together. Maximum efficiency. Agents of Fortune. That's the first one I listened to. I got these 2 at the same time, and the other one being Secret Treaties. And this is actually empty because it's in my boom box or jam box, depending on where you are. I don't want to offend people. Some places it's a water fountain, some places it's a bubbler, some places it's a soda, some places it's a pop. Everybody love everybody. No ruffled feathers. So this was straight. And I was listening to this, and it's great that I found out cassette, because, man, back in the day, there had been so many used cassettes, hand-me-downs, and buying new cassettes. That's how I discovered so much music when I was younger. So for it to have that, warm, weird sound, to quote the TV show remake of High Fidelity, I like that it has that warm, weird sound, so it's, nostalgic, even though it's brand new. That's the same way you discover so much music. That hiss and a crackle, but not akin to the crackle of old record. But anyway, so I was listening to the first album, and I was like, yeah, I could see somebody, in the 70s driving around in their T-top Trans Am or their Camaro or Mustang with their gal, shooting the shit, flirting with them. I'm like, I see how they dig this, right? And then into the second album there, Secret Treaties, I was like, oh shit, I can get how I get this. I'm down for Blue Oyster Cult. So that's my quick 2 cents, or not so quick, blabbering about Blue Oyster Cult. So it only took me almost 40 years of my life to give Blue Oyster Cult a real shot. And obviously I still only own them on cassette, but I'll pursue them in the future. So, first find from Record Store Day number 1. Actual vinyl now. Actual vinyl. Actually pronounce kind of, I guess, chanting is a San Francisco-based psychedelic group. And I know psychedelic now, everyone's been throwing around psychedelic for years, because if you could just, tack that on there, whether it's tinged or full-blown whacked out, there's a better chance you're going to sell a record, especially via repress. But this is old school. This band's dope. If you can't tell by their debut album called Blues Vibes, this has blues vibes. Now, is it rockin'? Yes. Is it psychedelic at times? It goes there. It's dope. This is another one of those bands that, there's a lot of psychedelic bands that were kind of one-and-dones or 2-and-outs. This is one of those 2-and-out bands. I don't know why, late 60s, 69 is when they dropped both their albums. This is the first of which I think it came out in April. So early mid-year of 1969. this band opened up and played for or with, King Crimson, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Grateful Dead. In fact, this band has ties to the Grateful Dead back to when they were the Warlocks. Who's the musician on here? Ceballos? Whatever, let's say that's him. I researched this a little bit while I was listening to it, but it's passing me now. So, he had ties to Grateful Dead, that's what I'm saying. So I'm just affiliating with these other bands and acts that if you like this, maybe you'll like that. But this is a cool blues rocker. Yes, there's some psychedelic moments, more so in the album cover than the actual music. This is a clean copy. I was happy with the price. Frank and Pharmacy Records is always fair. Forgive a couple fingerprints, the record will clean. I was stoked with it, right? So I've seen this beat up a couple times, or I've seen it in the past, but opted not to get it because I had other things in my hand that was more, taking my focus. But so when I finally acquired it, I was stoked. What I didn't expect to see is the much more rare follow-up. So just a few months later, for whatever reason, I don't know what this band was going through with their management or whatever, but now on the Fillmore label. Once again, very clean. Now this one is less bluesy, but more spacious. Psychedelic, yes, but more folkadelic, if we're going to call it that. And then spiritually spacious, if that makes sense. This is when they kind of fizzled out. This album, although less expensive than the more desirable debut, I believe is harder to find. If you like one, I believe you like the other, so pursue them both. If I was going to tell you to discover the band first, or initially your first experience with the band, I'd say try Blues Vibes first. But if you dig that, then give this one a go. If you stumble on either one of them in the wild, cop it, because if you're a hunter like me, you might not find it again. But, if you're going to stream it and listen to it and make an online purchase, freaking get after it. All right. So, Hard Shift, Black Flag, Family Man, 1984. This is the same cliche cover art, and I don't mean cliche like dismissive, but Ray Pentabom, he did a bunch of SST album covers and a whole lot of Black Flag album covers, right? So just really demoralizing a dead, bloody family and a father with a gun to his head. So hard shift from some quasi-Christian rock, psychedelic spiritual music. This album is a love it or leave it with a lot of people who are fans of Black Flag. It's like their fourth album, Henry Rollins. The first side is spoken word, except for the final track, which is Armageddon Man, which the band comes together and plays and is vocal. But side two is instrumental. This instrumental punk rock, but not just like punk rock in the sense that you would expect, but like avant-garde free jazz instrumental punk rock. So some people don't really dig this album. I do. I really dig the B-side. And I'll be honest with you, the A-side, once you've heard the spoken word and digested it, unless a long period of time's gone by, or, you drop a needle, maybe leaving the room, running the air, and you're going to come back to the record, I'd say it's a skip for the better part of the first album. I would literally just drop needle on the very last track on side one, and then dig the Ruckus on side two. But you usually don't find Black Flag all that often around my way, so I thought it was worthwhile picking up. A decently clean copy, not flawless, but stoked to have it. And then, forgive me, let me flip record. So that was the finds for one of my favorite record stores, period. Great store in Greenville, small shop, has a tremendous amount of turnover. So sometimes the new arrivals in the wall might be a dud, but it's only because the place constantly has traffic and gets picked over. But let me tell you something, there's always something coming and going. And by the way, if you guys are online shoppers, I understand if there's if it's just inconvenient. If you have to buy your records at Target or Walmart because you just don't have a local record store, I don't begrudge you and I don't bash you. You're gonna acquire what you want for your hobby, however you have to go about it. But if you have local stores that you've been neglecting just because you like to lean on Amazon and not leave the house, let me tell you something. When gas prices go up, people's wallets get thin and they trade in records. Unfortunately, I'm financially not in a place right now to buy a lot of records. This, what I'm showing aside, which were purchases with a little bit of tax money, the rest got squirreled. I've been doing some dickering, some flipping and trading, some purging recently. Will show up in future videos. But all 3 stores in Greenville got some heaters, and I assume it's the same around your way. So if you haven't been to your local store recently, give her a go. All right, on to Horizon Records. So it's dead between the first store and the third store. We stepped in there, moseyed around a little bit, grabbed some records, ate lunch. So it was a good time, shoot the breeze, friendly people. Dave had a field day in the jazz room. In fact, when I link, I'll respectfully link my friends' channels here. And when I do so for Dave, if you guys are so inclined, and if you like some jazz heavy hitters, I'll link specifically that video with Dave. But I was flipping around to new arrivals, and like most record store day titles I have, I acquired a Muse. So this is Gong, live in Sheffield, 1974. Now, I looked through this, and nowhere did I see a date from when exactly the show was. I don't know if it was around Christmas, because for whatever reason, the theme of the records is green with a red center label, and red with a green center label, and then altering inner sleeves. Let me pull this one out too. So altering inner sleeves, and then I guess, check out that banana right there. This gatefold banana. Shout out to my boy up in North Carolina, Mikey Bananas at Grown Man Record Night. Speaking of which, I'm a rookie. I usually start off the show with the beer of the night. This beer is a gift from Mikey when I went and visited him for Grown Man Record Night. So, Wise Man Brewing. Hell's is easy, Hell's locker. So, cheers, UVC. A tasty and refreshing beer of the night. I guess I was at it. I should have showed this book I had on the table anyways when I showed Black Flag. This book was a gift from Sean of Many Names. If you know him, you know him. I can't keep up with his names. Thank you very much. I appreciate the book and some things you sent while I was banged up in the hospital. I've been reading on this one, and I really enjoyed the comic books and all that stuff. So awesome, right? So back to Gong. This is the rundown right here. So I'll get into what Gong is, because Gong, if you can't tell by the weird art, Gong is kind of progadelic, spacey, jazz fusion weirdness. I dig it. This album at times, I'll be honest with you, kind of has some goofy lyrics. Just the delivery, and not even so much like the lyrical content, but just, they're goofy. It just sounds goofy. But there's a trade-off in the spaced out, weird, whacked out goodness that I say is a trade-off. But the reason I acquired this is because some time ago, another record store day, I got this in a clearance bin. Once again, almost all my record store day, for as much love and conviction that people have for constantly getting all their record store day titles, I got this after the fact, on sale. I got this on after the fact, cheap, used, right? So, if you like one, you'll probably like the other. 73, 74. Early Gong's where it's at. Now, I'm no historian, because you almost have to be. The band feuded, they split up, they kind of had multiple people who were touring under a different version name of Gong. The early years, why I was down for these live albums, I don't buy too much online, and so it's hard to find stuff like this Gong from that early era on the Virgin label. But this is kind of the heyday, along with 2 other albums from 71, 73-ish range. But if you could find stuff like this, then dive into the early stuff. If you find the later stuff, I'd still recommend it, because it's usually cheaper anyways, and just give her a go if you think you'd like Gong, or if you streamed it and it was pleasing to your ears. But either this early stuff or There's multiple live albums. I like how I just pointed, like you could see my whole body in my hand. Like I'm not even conscious there's a freaking camera. But so I just motioned to the records you can't see. If you find Gong live, especially in the early era, I'd say give her a go because it'll give you a taste of all that stuff from the early albums. And if not, you know, if you're not stumbling that, then grab the early albums, especially if you're buying online, because then, you know, the world's your oyster. There's no work into it. So what else that isn't a repress? Clear Light. So to get back to another California-based band, if I'm not mistaken, a one-and-done in the same wheelhouse I was talking about. Clear Light, 1967, if I'm not mistaken. I was looking at this guy and I pulled this inner sleeve out just to be able to show it to you really quick. Back of the record. I should be talking about the music, but I'll get sidetracked here. I was looking at this inner sleeve and I saw this cat, Cliff DeYoung, right? He's a singer. And I was like, man, that dude looks familiar. And so I looked him up. When a wormhole, dude's an actor. Never really made it huge, but was still nonetheless very prolific. You might know him, or the way I registered and clicked with him, he was the dad in The Craft. Do you remember the 90s teenage, well, I guess, you know, it's one of those movies, not so much teenage, like a bunch of 25, 30-year-olds pretending to be high school kids, and then they're like in a witch coven. Anyways, does anyone remember that randomness? The Craft? Anybody? But so, he was the dad in The Craft. Asked for the album. Well, why is he talking about weird, somewhat forgotten, crappy 90s movies? I wanted to. The album itself, it's cool. This is not crazy. You know, I was looking at what some of these things go for online, some of these records I got recently, and I was like, you know, some of these were very fairly priced. You know, because I wouldn't be dropping some of the high dime that it looks like they can go for online. And I know one of the benefits of Horizon Records is sometimes, you know, they got a lot of hands in the pot. There's a lot of cooks there. You know, when you go to Cabin Floor and you go to Pharmacy, you know, you're dealing with Joe and Frank, and they're putting out their records. They're pricing their own records. Gene is the owner of Horizon's really there, and he's got a whole bunch of employees, and sometimes I wonder who's pricing things, because this was priced right, and so was the next one I'm about to show. So, stoked to have found this. Asked for the album. I think this is a good album. The first time I listened to it, the A-side wasn't really registering, and the B-side was like, oh, okay. That's where it's at, man. The B-side's where it's at. And my first thought was, how I was going to describe it is like, it seemed like an album that was good, but was missing that big single to push them into stardom. And I still think that reigns true. This album could have used that great single that just kind of sticks with you, that, you know, makes other bands that, you know, like Blues Magoos or, 13 Floors and yada, yada, yada. It sticks out with them, you know. Why am I trying to think of a long list of psychedelic bands like that aren't even here? I got enough shit to think about with these own records. Who cares? But when I listen to this album, I've given this album a few spins now, right? Like I say, I've had these for a while. It's been a minute since Dave and John visited. But as I listened to it, I was like, oh, snap, it's just unfamiliar. So when I gave this a couple more subsequent spins, it just got better and better. I think this is a really enjoyable album, especially for the price. Even online, it shouldn't be expensive. I'd say hunt for it on eBay until one slips through the cracks and you get a cheap auction, or keep your eyes peeled when you're flipping. It still could use a heavy hitter track. That aside, I think the album overall is pretty solid. So a one-and-done, Clear Light, 1960s, circa 67. Let's go ahead and just stamp that. No, not. Yeah, hard stamp, ink it. I'm going to go with 67. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. You know, no penciling here. Straight hard ink, red ink. Help. More of the same wheelhouse of kind of like, you know, blues rocky, psychedelic, folky at times. So folkadelic, I like to, you know, let's amalgamate words. We can do that, make it work for us. Well, did I not show you have I been showing you the records? You know, am I some kind of Bush League rookie where I'm not doing stuff like sliding out the record and showing you this Decca label? I hijacked this from a undesirable classical record I dumped off. Pulled out a lot of great audiophile level inner sleeves. It's about bedtime. As for the music, Help, 2 albums and out. I think the second album, which is... it has a bird on it and an egg. The second album with a bird and an egg. This one does not. It has a clock. It has a black and white photo of individuals in a window, I believe. The second album is Second Coming. There we go. That helps me remember. Second album, Second Coming. That's probably the more psychedelic of the 2 albums. I like them both. I don't own the other album. I'm in pursuit. One of these days I'll be flipping and digging, and I'll land it. But this is a cool album. Another one that kind of grew on me after a couple spins. I don't think it's phenomenal. I don't think it's exceptional. I don't think this is one of those like legendary, like if you're a psych head, you got to have this, put this on your top 25 list. But if you like that late 60s, early 70s, blues rock, psych-tinge folk, psychedelic, you know, hard rock, classic. Can you just call stuff rock? Is it okay? Like now we got to like put a. This is a rock album. This is a rock and roll album, not like early rock and roll, like, you know, like Lucille and, you know, Little Richard. This is not Buddy Holly. This is not like 50s, you know, drive-in rock and roll. But this is a rock album. How about that? This is a 1960s rock album. And if you like the rock and rolls with whatever sub-caveats you want to put on it, I would say check out Help, a rock and roll album. Number 1 of their 2 albums. A 2 and out band. Alright, so I bought those records. I ate a sandwich. I had a delicious cup of coffee. Then we went about our business, and we went to the third and final place before coming back to the house and hanging out for a little bit before they had to move about and go back to North Carolina. But the third place we went to is Cabin Floor Records. Recently relocated to a much better spot. The parking is way better. The spot's a little bit smaller, and all the pictures aren't up and everything yet, so it doesn't feel as established. But the bins are good. The wall's been producing. There's been some great stuff at Cabin Floor Records as well as other spots. So really cool. I pulled this record knowing that I'm probably not going to talk about the music because I want to go on a freaking rant here. So I'm gonna rant. I'm gonna rant. I've been swearing a lot, you know. I've been trying to work on my swearing, but I've been doing that. This is a repress on Fire Records. So this is a Record Store Day reissue. You wouldn't know that. But there's no evidence of that if it wasn't for some kind of, like, you know, digging research. Now, I know this because I think this came out the year prior to this. I think this is like 2019. So this is Split. This is, am I crazy? This is Split? Yeah, look at me. I know things without having to read. Groundhogs on Cherry Red. They made this one fancy. But the reason I'm talking about this right here, it's in the same wheelhouse. The same people, Fire. I didn't realize that they released a chunk of their records a couple years in a row for Record Store Day, even though they didn't label them as Record Store Day titles. This one's more psychedelic and weird. I know Cherry Red's on here, which was covered by Ty Segall. But let me get aside from that. I'm just saying, if you see any of these Fire reissues, because the originals of this band, including their other albums, I think I'm up like 4 or 5 of their titles now. They're getting harder and harder to find. The little bit later in their catalog, you can usually find, and they're not terribly expensive. So I'd say get after that if you can. But you might stumble on these represses. This is my freaking gripe right here, though. All right, because dig this band out. Blues rock, some's more hard and heavy, some's more bluesy, some's more psychedelic, some's more jamming, some's more rocking. Just investigate the band. The Groundhogs are getting slept on in the vinyl community. Dope band, or maybe they're just taken for granted because everyone already knows. Maybe I'm an idiot. Everyone's like, well, I already know the Groundhogs are great. You don't gotta fucking tell me. I've listened to Groundhogs for 30 years. You're an idiot. You're young and stupid. Maybe I am. But whatever the case is, dig the Groundhogs. This is the gripe, though. So for Record Store Day, they released this. It looks very official with this slip case, this slip jacket, right? Almost like a slip case, like a other piece of media. They reworked the album cover. I also think they tweaked it again in red for the CD or another edition. But so This had a private press and a major press. And I don't mean private press like this record is a private press like a small label out of Bumfuckville, Idaho. I mean that private as in like a military rank. So dumb, all right? This was originally on Liberty, so it's not a private press. You could tell that because the only way you could tell that, someone jacked and I've been prone to do this, someone jacked the original hype sticker, put it on here, and if you can see it right here in quotation marks, it says, private press, right? So, thank Christ for the bomb. Private press 50th anniversary reissue, special edition, artwork, ration book, and Poppy download card with bonus tracks. I'm the second owner. I don't use download cards, but I didn't have an opportunity. And apparently the other version came with a like a little fold-out poster thing right here. I guess to actually talk music. A hugely influential album cited as the embryo for punk, grunge, and beyond. Featuring epic 1970s concepts, yada yada yada, such and fuck. Good music. I love this, but this is what's so dumb about it, right? Well, I'm looking it up. There's the private press is just a single record. They put it in the same grandiose box packaging, and it's a gatefold. That's like a dual pocket gatefold. So when I'm looking at it and I'm researching it, and it has this freaking to set this down, it has this ration book. So this is what got me all weirded out. So I look at the ration book, which is stupid because you're only going to see this if you own the record already and open it up. And the whole book is just basically a bunch of quotations from articles and magazines or whatever that are all just quotes about how great the album is. So it's just like a bunch of notes of different hype stickers. I don't need this now that I already own it. And there's a couple black and white photos. Like, I care about the band that much for a couple black and white photos. But this was dumb. You're not going to see it on this olive drab with black writing so much. But if you see here, it has a set list for sides 1 and 2. That has, sides 3 and 4. And it says, for the major edition, which that doesn't come with. So I got the same damn packaging. Forgive me, I'm ranting here. This is probably not entertaining. Or maybe you get a kick out of my stupidity. So, since it has this nice thick packaging, it goes in the slip sleeve, there's no other record here keeping it nice and taut, nice and toit. So, the record had a dish warp. So, my little hack was to trim down a little shipping package, cardboard, and slide it in there, and it already helped with it. But that's that. I don't know where I was going with all that. Other than I think this recycled packaging for a special edition and then giving it for the regular record, that doesn't really indicate that is the regular record because it shares the same. I don't know. I was overthinking it on some dumb stuff. Not really happy with the fact that this looks like it would be a special edition, but isn't. It feels like I'm missing out on a record that I don't have. Whatever. Great band. Poorly thought out. Poorly delivered. You're probably not here for the last record. The last record being CAC. Alright, so CAC being another psych rock band. A one-and-done. What can I tell you about CAC? I don't know. You've never heard it. This is in clean condition. Once again, it's a rock album. It's psychedelic. It's a little bit blues rocky at times. It's pretty dope. Really clean on this epic label. What's his name? Gary. It sounds like a redneck name or a serial killer. Gary Lee Yoder. So yeah, serial killer Gary Lee Yoder. After breaking up with this band, CAC. So as soon as he had problems with this CAC, he went on to play with Blue Cheer. I should have done? Just like I do and grab other things that are unnecessary just to shove it in here. He did 2 albums with Blue Cheer. In fact, I'll be that guy. How about that? Yeah. So here we go. So I don't have to be eloquent and actually describe this music. Oh, by the way, here's side grab. I'll just interrupt myself. I'm all over the place. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. I haven't been sleeping well. This record's so freaking clean. The only real damage is, do you see this crease right there? People will get all upset when you do this. When you touch a record, my hands are clean. Look, there's baby little fingerprints. they'll wipe away instantly with a spray and a cloth. It will never affect play. Right now, it's probably annoying some people that I just put baby fingerprints on there. They'll be gone in a couple minutes. When people don't know to grab a record by the dead center, or the dead center, especially when there's the weight of a record in it, and they grab it by the corner, I freaking hate that. Because you're not going to gently wipe away a terrible, corner crease. But, alright, another little... I'm going off some side trails here, man. We're just hiking. We're going on an adventure. I got a whistle. If I get lost in the woods, I got a whistle. So let me hone it in, blow the whistle, and wrap this up. If you don't know CAC, right? If you've never had CAC, if you've never handled CAC, like I just handled this CAC and got a little messy. So I got a messy CAC right now. I need to wipe down my CAC. If you've never messed with CAC, maybe you know Blue Cheer, right? This is one of the two of the serial killer. I don't know if that's factual. I will pencil that one. I know I was inking things in final ink earlier, declaring years. Gary Lee Yoder may or may not be a serial murderer, but that aside, this is one of the 2 albums, I believe. Also pencil, maybe erasable pen. 2 albums that he was on after he finished playing with CAC. As soon as he's done playing with his CAC, he went on to Blue Cheer, and this is the second of the 2 albums he was on Blue Cheer with, and I actually knew that prior to having CAC of my own. So I knew that from having this Blue Cheer. On Phillips, didn't even plan on showing this. And that CAC rant, as well as whatever the hell I was saying about the groundhogs. What a waste. I should do better editing other than putting up stupid little thumbnails, because whatever that garbage was, if you're still here on account of that, hopefully you just skipped over that. Definitely need to put timestamps. In fact, my timestamp might say, you might want to skip this part. What am I talking about? That'll probably be the name of that chapter. Or not. I might be lying to you. Let's pencil that one in. Anyways, vinyl community, cheers to you from me. A beer from Mikey Banana. Shout out Grown Man Record Night. Shout out Aaron, the Metal Theologian. Hopefully, his words ring true via his unaware to you text message words of a soon-to-be dub reggae video. Also, shout out to Jon, the Digital Gramophone, and now the VC Ambassador, Dave. More videos coming in the future. I got gift goodies in the mail. I've been purging out doo-doo. Got rid of the last of that collection I got before the accident and during COVID times, and dumped that off for trade. And I've been getting some heaters in with next to no money in my wallet. Let me tell you something. It's so easy to compile a bunch of like $3, $4, $5, $8 records you never listen to. And if there's something that's not that expensive, but I still like it, and I know I'm going to listen to it occasionally, even if it's something I might not listen to for 2 or 3 years, but I know I'll enjoy it when I revisit it, that'll stay in the collection. But there's just some like blind buys and stupid album covers and, things that you're curious about, or a band's like 3rd tier album that you don't need to be a completist on. When you get rid of like 15 albums that you don't care about, and you're like, oh, how do I get rid of this? And you have to get rid of this mental hurdle, and then you bring in like a heater or 2 solid albums. Good day, 15 turd albums. So I've been flushing some turds out of my collection, dickering, flipping, trading, bartering, all that good stuff, all that jazz. So that will be in the near future, as well as some very generous gifts from friends in the vinyl community. Don't want to ruin the surprise. That video will be coming sooner than later. Hopefully it won't be another multi-week, multi-month gap like the last one. Pushing this almost to 40, but not quite 40 minutes, because I'm a professional. I was a born-again nubile failure of a VC member at the very start of this video, but at the very end, utmost professional, transcendent, life-changing blessing to the VC. Don't you dare forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, ring the bell, and I tell you to do all my other social medias, but I don't have any. Freaking love you, VC. Take care, be well, cheers, all that jazz.